Hello and welcome to the International Pentagon Challenge. My name is Kyanite and together we'll be embarking on a very special Football Manager journey where we'll aim to try and win every major international competition in all 5 continents, forcing our hand to play with hundreds of different types of players and most importantly hopefully create loads of awesome different types of tactics along the way. Once that's complete, only then are we allowed to set our sights on the biggest of all goals, the FIFA World Cup. How many nations will we have to manage until we work our way to the top? How many dodgy names will we have to pronounce along the way? So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Alright, hello everyone and welcome to episode 85 of the International Pentagon Challenge. So last episode we basically took a look at some of our better players within our brand new team, and obviously you'll have known about our friendly against Holland or the Netherlands, in case people are going to bring up the fact that the Netherlands isn't the same as Holland, but here in England we tend to say Holland most of the time and it kind of naturally comes to my mouth rather than the Netherlands. As you can see, we completely blasted them away with a 6-1 victory. Now, another interesting thing that you'll have probably noticed on the bottom right hand side of the screen is that we are playing yet another different tactical approach, and I promise I'm not doing this on purpose. It's totally not a coincidence that every time we manage a different nation I'm going with a different tactical approach. I'll be honest, I don't want to play the 3-4-3. See, I can't even say the formation right, but at the end of the day, I am going to go with the approach that I feel can get me the best results. And it is very, very, very early days, but putting 6 goals past Holland, or the Netherlands, sorry, I need to get out of that. Yeah, says a lot. Yeah, so the fact that we scored 6 goals, it almost only seems fair to let you guys see them. Obviously, I've sped them up for the sake of this video because we are going to have our all-important match against Bulgaria coming up this episode, so I don't want the episode to be too long. But as you can see, there's a lot of emphasis on getting the ball out wide because we've got some very, very, very talented wide players, and then basically feed some of the very, very strong strikers that we have. And basically, we'll take a look at the tactics in a bit. So we were 4-0 up. Masoudi put the Netherlands back in it at 4-1, but we made some changes, brought off some fresh legs off the bench, and bada bing, bada boom, we scored another 2 goals to win 6-1. I'm pretty sure all them goals really came from wide play, which was what we want to do with this team and feed the strikers. So tactically, again, please bear in mind that I've only managed Spain with these tactics for 1 game. Yes, it's a great victory, but there's still a lot of tweaking to be done. Another thing, in the last episode, we also mentioned the fact that Tony Mowbray was the England manager, but at 71, I think it was, he actually decided to retire. And Carl Kirby, I've got no idea who he is at the moment. Well, he doesn't really say. I think he could be a player in real life. Let's see. Can we actually see this? I mean, it says he began as Walsall's under-18 assistant manager. Okay, so he starts the game as the Walsall under-18 manager. Develops pretty well, so if you're looking for a decent member of staff in your current saves, go pick him up because apparently he's good enough to become the England manager. Yeah, so he's going to be managing England when we play them. Okay, so tactically, what are we looking to do? And I was really hesitant with regards to whether or not I wanted to kind of go with the 3-4-3 because I'm not really, by trade, a massive fan of 3 at the back formations, unless it's more of a 5 at the back formation with wing backs. But then again, everyone refers to Conte's as 3-4-3 that he obviously employed at Chelsea during that title-winning season, so it is what it is. And we also employed 3 out-and-out strikers when we were managing North Korea in some of the really early episodes of this save as well. And really, I end up with, for example, Alvarez and Julian man-marking the opposition wingers, which then results with both Jimenez and Alvarez. This is the issue, you see. They can't play wing-back or full-back because they're naturally wingers. And it really does affect the performances if I start them as wing backs or full backs on red. So I need to create a makeshift approach to achieve the goal that I want to achieve, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen a lot of the tactical videos on my channel. So the idea is, by telling Alvarez and Julian to man-mark the opposition wingers, they drop back to create a 4 in midfield, and then the 2 wingers drop back to create a 5 at the back, which creates the 5-4-1 that essentially mimics what Chelsea did once upon a time under Conte. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go onto my channel, just pause this video, go onto my channel, open a new tab, and I was going to say then, assuming your browser has tabs, but I'm pretty sure everyone uses a browser with tab functionality nowadays. I'm living in the past. Go onto my channel and take a look at my Conte tactical analysis video, and that'll kind of explain that approach. We're not quite as defensive as Conte. The wingers naturally don't drop back as deep to become wing backs off the ball, but when the 2 centre forwards drop back, you end up with doubling down on the wings, which means that one of the areas that 3 at the back formations usually fall kind of victim to gets nullified by what we're looking to do. And while Alvarez and Jimenez aren't exactly the best defensively, the fact that we've got 3 centre backs there means it's okay, and the fact that they've got support from them strikers. So it really does create the off the ball shape that we want, and that kind of false 9 inside forward esque, relatively narrow position that we saw Hazard, for example, play at Chelsea, is what we achieve from the movement of the complete forwards, where really sometimes they go forwards, they get the ball wide and mimic wingers and whip the ball into the box, and sometimes they're more out and out strikers looking to run at players and play central and play intricate 1-2 passes with the other strikers. So really, on paper, if I were to kind of really explain how in my head I see this tactic, I'd say it's really more something like this, with the inside forwards cutting inside, and 2 wing backs readily available on the overlap. So yeah, that's that. The main player that we are missing right now, who I think is going to be a real crucial player for us going forwards, is this lad, Asier Osoro. Now, he did get injured against the Netherlands, but he is a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal player. Plays for Barcelona. Look at them physicals, and what's even better is the fact that he has 16 vision and 16 passing. So again, referring back to kind of Chelsea, at times we kind of saw David Luiz as that ball-playing sweeper who would often drop deeper within the central place. This should really be a ball-playing defender. The reason why it's a CD is because when I had to take Osoro off because he was injured, I changed it to a CD and then resaved the tactic, because again, I tweaked the tactic whilst in the Netherlands game, so I saved the tactic in there. Hopefully that makes sense. So really, Osoro is going to be our ball-playing defender. He'll really come out, step out, pick the ball up off our goalkeeper when needs be, and give us a good amount of technicality at the back. Both Miguel and Roberto are very, very good centre-backs as well. And one thing you may have noticed there, and one of the main reasons that made me want to go to a back 3, is because you look at their physicals, they are incredibly, incredibly pacey. So it doesn't really feel like we're going to miss fullbacks, if that makes sense, as long as these guys do their job. And Miguel is actually 21 years old. I found him in the under-21s. He plays for Real Madrid, and I'm baffled as to why he's in the under-21s over like some of the 34-year-olds. Like, I understand the 2 34-year-old centre-backs we have in the squad are like Spanish legends, but, you've got to invest in youth. And the fact that he's 200 centimetres high, like, this guy, if he don't score regularly from set pieces for me, I'm retiring for Football Manager. Or from the set piece match engine. And we play with 2 deep line playmakers, one on defend, one on support. Really, support still means he won't venture forward too much. The idea behind that is to, again, give some protection to the back 3. But it works out pretty well. And when they do pick the ball up, they are still in the opposition half, because we are playing with a very, very high defensive line with a lot of closing down. Like, that is crucial to how we're looking to play. We've got to win the ball back fast and then retain possession. Yeah. So Jimenez is our main left winger at the moment. By trade, he is a left back, so he does have, tackling ability. He played a very, very strong game against the Netherlands. Alvarez, on the other hand, is more of an out and out attacking midfielder on the right-hand side. 19 crossing. Unfortunately, didn't have a great game. Plays against the Netherlands. Plays for Fulham, so I am hoping he improves. He has 13 tackling as well and 15 work rate. So you can see where I'm coming from. Where, like, yes, they're wingers. Yes, they can't play fullback. Granted, Jimenez can, but it would result in a awkward looking formation and my OCD would kick in. But they do still have what's required of them to kind of create these makeshift wing backs. And this is getting on a bit now. So again, we've got the three up front. These guys will do man marking. They'll fall back. And really, when you look at the quality and the physicals on some of these players, you can see, and 16 dribbling there, for example, that they are more than capable of playing the kind of Hazard-esque role that I explained a few minutes ago. In terms of team instructions, apologies if you can hear the dog, the neighbour's dog, from outside. Normal tempo, fairly wide width, and I've discussed this before, you don't want to be too wide because at the moment I'm kind of toying with the idea of the fact that if you go too wide, our three centre-backs will then be too wide, and they'll be, especially if you play against a team who play two up front, you'll leave poor Osoro in the middle by himself because these guys sometimes go really, really wide when you spread play with a high line when the wingers push up, obviously. Work ball into box, play out of defence, pass into space, and that kind of passing directness. These have really, I think I've had these team instructions with me in the past 3 nations I've managed. Get stuck in on tackling. We are looking to use tighter marking because I think it's important for us to use tighter marking given how high our defensive line is so that we can win that ball back really, really quickly. But other than that, really, I'm getting to know my players, and hopefully you guys will get to know the players as well. You'll catch a glimpse of how we're looking to play when we now play Bulgaria. And another interesting fact is that Bulgaria drew 4-4 to England 3 days ago. So not only are they going to be tired, but I am kind of hoping that it means that England under this new manager aren't exactly at their best, which means we can get revenge for this result that happened prior to me taking over. I'll see you there. Okay, so just to clarify kind of what we were talking about, as you can see, our left striker is man-marking their right midfielder, and our right striker is man-marking their left midfielder. And that will basically, when this guy drops back, create the doubling up down the wings. And hopefully, if we see glimpses of it, I will mention it on camera. So here we go. Spain versus Bulgaria. I'm actually intrigued where on earth we're playing. It does look like it. I mean, it doesn't look like the Camp Nou, actually. I was only guessing that it could have been the Camp Nou because it kind of... Oh, God, we're going a bit fast here because I sped up the highlights for you. Is that what I'm normally sat at? I think that is normally what I'm sat at. Actually, I think I'm a little bit faster. Yeah, that looks a bit better. But yeah, I was kind of guessing it was Barcelona because it looked red and blue. But as you can kind of see, we are Spain and our colours are kind of red and blue. So that probably explains that. Yeah, you can see how wide our kind of back three were spread there. Bulgaria playing with a very, very deep and narrow 4-2-3-1. It'll be interesting to see what attacking chances they can create because Grigorov up front on his own looked very, very, very isolated. So Miguel, 200 centimetres of Miguel, all 2 metres of him with the header towards our midfield. Jimenez finds Antony to Gil. I'm not quite sure how to say it. Alvarez crosses the ball and we have won a penalty, apparently. So I'm not quite sure whether that was a penalty or not. We don't exactly have the best of history when it comes to penalties, but hopefully Manzanek won't let me down. Of course he will, because 3/4 of penalties taken on this game this year are saved by the goalkeeper. And, that's why I really don't even get excited over penalties anymore. I mentioned it in the Gold Cup when we could have comfortably put a game to bed, and I've mentioned it again. So the first thing I needed to do when I basically came into the club was bring in some new staff. That's well offside. Bring in some new staff, and the first couple of things that I started doing were basically I went looking for players like Guti, Raul, Michel Salgado, players like that who I wanted to bring into the backroom staff. But really, the only kind of real I would say Spanish international I actually have in my backroom staff is Juanfran, who obviously plays for Atletico Madrid in real life, and he was already in the, I think, under-23 manager's role when I came into the job. Finish, there we go, 1-0. Far too deep there, Bulgaria. They weren't really pressing our midfield, and Gil has like 17, 18 passing, and when you put the pressure on the back four like we do with the 3 strikers, that happens. Now, I think I'd like to see us score more here. Now, Manzanek, one thing I did against Holland was turn him into a poacher, and he started playing a little bit better, so we'll go with that approach there. Been disappointed by the amount of chances we've created. We're playing in Real Zaragoza Stadium. I'm assuming it's Real Zaragoza Stadium because it says Zaragoza, but I don't know. There could be more than one football team in Zaragoza. That's a poor pass from Gil. We praise his passing and he comes up with that. Anyways, we should be able to close him down, which we do, and we win possession back. Miguel finds Jimenez, feeds it towards Alvarez in the channel. Antony, Hill, out wide to Jimenez, who's again going to look to take his man on, whips the ball into the box. Alvarez is there to try and reignite the attack. He takes it past one, takes it past two. Alvarez shoots. Oh, Nadev just about clears. Unlucky there. I've just realised we have two Alvarezes in the team. I didn't even notice. We beat Holland 6-1 and I didn't even know Netherlands 6-1 and I didn't even notice that we had two lads called Alvarez in the same team. And now I'm kind of hoping that's a bit of a good luck charm, because we all know that Guatemala had two lads up front with the same surname, the Cabrera brothers as we called them. So Alvarez, ball crossed in, don't quite win it. The Bulgarians, the big lads there in the central areas. Alvarez on the overlap. Finds Manzanek, and Miguel Manzanek, if that's how you pronounce it, finds the back of Zanet. See what I did there? Zanet. Funny. Yeah. Look at them. They're literally holding hands right now. Mark that winger. Mark that winger. He even tripped over there. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of that towards the end, but he tripped over. So Gil finds Antony. The two deep-lying playmakers doing their thing at the back together. Roberto coming into play. Finds Gil. Alvarez now shoots from a distance. And as the commentator says, that's not troubling the goalkeeper. But so far, so good. I don't think we've looked as good as we did against the Netherlands. But, yeah, there's still time to grab a few more goals. This group could end up coming down to goal difference. It really depends on how well or how poorly England play for the rest of it. I'm not quite sure why we're being shown Belarus, Estonia, Malta and Andorra on the left-hand side. I mean, that is certainly not our group. Okay. So when I came into the job, I was kind of contemplating, do we want to go for a possession-orientated approach? Because that's kind of what Spain have become famous for in the past few years. But to be honest, I kind of decided to stick to my guns. And I think naturally a lot of my teams are pretty good on the ball, given how they look to play. And we do like to play with the ball rather than aim to just not have the ball and aim to purely transition. But with the amount of blistering pace we have in this side, the amount of striking quality, the amount of amazing wingers we have in this side, beautiful. Oh, unlucky there. It would seem a shame not to have some form of directness about us, which I certainly do think we do. Julian shoots, and it's just wide of the target. 67% of possession for us, and yeah. Looking strong. Now that we approach the 65th minute, it's probably time to make one or two defensive changes. So we'll bring Soler on. Yes, he's 34, but let him come on. An experienced head at a time like this, we could probably do with freshening things up in the middle of the park. I'll bring on Raul. Unfortunately, it isn't the Raul we all grew up to love. Raul was one of my favourite players back in the day, but 17 passing, 18 vision. He is a very good player at the age of 28, so he can come on for Antony to give us some creativity centrally. And La Cueva can come on for Jimenez, who, it has to be said, hasn't had the best of games as opposed to his man-of-the-match performance against the Netherlands. But, yeah, it's fine, really. Hristov with the corner. It's headed away by Miguel. You see, Miguel, if only he could get on the end of it when we're attacking corners, not just defending corners. But this could be a counter-attack now. Julian has the pace to take on not one, but two Bulgarians. I was trying to figure out what two is in Spanish. Uno, dos is dos, isn't it? I couldn't figure it out on the fly. I never learned Spanish, but, you know, I know how to count somewhat in Spanish. Uno, dos, tres, catorce. No, now it's French. I think uno, dos, tres is definitely Spanish. but I'm not sure if the rest is right. But yeah, we did switch to key highlights. Alvarez is through, and yeah, we can't quite reach Julian there. But yeah, we are going to beat Bulgaria 2-0. I think the performance could have been a little bit better. I think the fact that we stayed on a standard mentality after going 2-0 up in the first half really resulted in us not scoring more goals. But, you know, it's not the end of the world, and I would have rather focused at 2-0 than try and go even more attacking and leave the game at 2-1 and, you know, then have to play around with things. And yeah. So as we can see, Belarus and Estonia, we are now both top of the group. I'm not quite sure why it's shown as that. And tell the lads that was a good win for us, even though you would expect us to beat the Bulgarians. And that will leave us top of our group. So whilst we are here, let's take a quick look at the other groups. Portugal, Belgium, Russia, Italy, Germany, Sweden, Netherlands, France, Czech Republic. I'm wondering if we can take a look at Division B. So we take a look at Division B. I just wanted to see really if we've got any surprising teams in Division B. Well, I think Poland and Ukraine are surprising. I mean, Ukraine won Euro 2026 or 2035 or whatever it was. What was it? 2035? What was it? 2036, yeah. So they won Euro 2036 and they're in Division B. But okay. That is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. The next episode will be our match against the Three Lions. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.